Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. And today I want to continue on with my rather quixotic journey through the films of Louis Bunuel that is going to take probably till the end of the year to complete his 20 plus filmography. So today I'm going to 1974. It's The Phantom of Liberty. This is the second to the last Bunuel film, and it's included in a Criterion box set, Blu-ray box set, which also includes that obscure Object of Desire, Bunuel's last film, and his previous film, The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. And this is, quixotic is probably a good adjective to use for this film because it's very hard to describe. There is no storyline that runs through the film. There are themes that run through the film, but not a storyline. They're a group of vignettes, sometimes skits, and in which a character from the first vignette, he could be a minor character, so we follow him into the next vignette, and then the character from that to the next vignette. So, and some of these episodes, they are really funny. I mean, they are laugh out loud funny. In fact, sometimes you might even be reminded of Monty Python's Flying Circus, but they keep you off guard. You never really know what's going to happen, and you might not even know what's happening as you're watching the film, even though Bunuel films this in his normal style where everything looks real. There's no special effects. There's no dream-like sequence. You could call a whole film a dream, but that part is not emphasized. It's all in the situations and the characters. The opening episode is in the past during the Napoleonic Wars, and Napoleon's army has conquered Toledo in Spain, and their partisans are being lined up in front of a firing squad. And if you look real quickly, two of the men who are are about to be shot, one is Louis Bunuel in a priest garb, which he's worn before in his films, and next to him is Serge Silberman, who is the producer of The Phantom of Liberty and produced, I think, 5 of Bunuel's last 7 films. And then right before they're shot, one of the men yells out, "Down with liberty." At least I think that's what the subtitles say. They want to be in chains. They don't want to be freed as Napoleon is there presumably to free them from whatever authoritarian government that they're suffering under. But they yell, "Down with liberty." And there's a sequence, and then we go to contemporary times. But first we get a really great joke where the soldiers who have won, the conquering army who have won, their commanding officer is there celebrating with his men in this big church, and there's a couple statues there, and lest this commanding officer gets too uppity, which he is starting to do, a statue comes to life that's right next to him, and his arm hits him in the face, knocks him out. And this is what I guess you could say, kind of what the audience is going to be expecting. We're going to get like a little slap in the face every once in a while because the unexpected and is likely to occur. So then with this opening scene, it's not very long. We switch to contemporary times where a woman is sitting on a park bench reading this particular historical story to her friend. Some of these episodes can be kind of disturbing. They're not subject matter that might not feel you might feel uncomfortable with, because we do have episodes that confront pedophilia, pornography, a visit to a doctor where you get the bad news, which everybody, myself, I've already experienced that, and that's a very horrible thing to contemplate for the future for most people. We get a sniper here. How prescient was this since 1974? Bunuel says that he put this in because of Charles Whitman, the Texas sniper. But 50 years later, it would have, the sniper episode would have confounded the audiences then, that he's like a poet sniper. But of course, in modern days, we've experienced this so many times that the horror that Bunuel presents matter of factly is a constant presence in our life and in reading the newspaper. And then there's the little girl lost. Now this is probably the episode that most people or most critics cite as the best episode in this film, where parents are informed that their little girl has disappeared at school. They go to investigate, and the little girl's right there, and they see her there. Yet they go on a mission at hunting for the little girl, and the police officer who takes the report says, "It's good you brought her along with us because it's going to be easier for us to find it." There's a lot of poignancy to this episode, which probably makes it a fear that parents would always have, that their little children are suddenly going to disappear. And then I'm really fond of there's one in the Gothic Inn. Bunuel liked inns, and we have a congregation of various types of people here. A nurse from the previous episode, on her way to visit her sick father, and then it gets dark and stormy. The road is washed out. There's a group of priests there, Carmelite priests. They like to play poker. The incest is here. And there's a sadomasochistic episode here. It's really incredible. Every time you open a door, something else might occur in this Gothic Inn. But my favorite episode is the final episode with the police commissioner, whose adored sister has died a few years before. He's sitting in a bar, and he sees somebody who looks just like his sister. Suddenly he goes and talks to her, and suddenly the phone rings. His sister is on the telephone saying to come meet him. And in the involved plot that goes on here, the police commissioner is suddenly arrested, even though he has an ID. You're not the police commissioner. What are you talking about? This guy's claiming to be the police commissioner. It goes on, and I've become really, I can't wait to get to this episode every time I watch this film. So we're confronted with dreams. This film really ties back to Bunuel's surrealistic upbringing in Paris. He was part of the original group of surrealists in Paris. They would meet in a bar, and they would talk about their dreams from the previous night. Now, not so much to interpret dreams, as they were all influenced by Freud, who was quite influential in the 1920s and 30s. But they would, if somebody came up with something really interesting in their dream, they would grab a movie camera, go outside, and try to film what had happened in this dream. And in with Phantom of Liberty, Jean-Claude Carrière and Bunuel would meet in a bar, talk about their dreams, see if there was something that they could come up with the idea of abandoning traditional narrative. Bunuel often adapted novels, some very famous novels, but and then they would meet back together again to see what Bunuel had written and how they might be able to change it. And when they finally came up with a script, which that they thought no one would ever finance the script, they handed it to Serge Silberman, who had produced some of Bunuel's previous films, and he went off and read it. He went off on quarter, read it. And they thought he was going to come back. Are you guys crazy? there's no story here. Instead, he came back and he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." Serge Silberman was quite an important producer, and especially producing 5 of the last 7 films that Bunuel made in his international period where he became a huge force in international cinema. And it shows how, and he was like an independent producer, and he collaborated as well in the making of in some of the creative part of making of the film. And there's a great documentary. It was just Jean-Claude Carrière and Silberman reminiscing about their adventures together with Louis Bunuel, and concentrating how Silberman came to be a producer, and a risk-taking producer. He loved to take risks, and certainly Phantom of Liberty was a risk to take, even though Bunuel was a huge name at that time. And this film is like the work of a young man. I think Bunuel was about 74, 75 when he made this film, and he always thought that he was unhealthy, he'd never make it to the end of the film because of that bad health. But he was, like I say, there's a youthfulness to it, as if this is a film where somebody's just starting out instead of ending his career. And of course, there are many stars or actors name actors who were always eager to work with Bunuel. Jean-Claude Brially's here, and Monica Vitti, and Michel Piccoli, Michael Lonsdale. I have to mention Claude Peclou, who plays the police commissioner in the final episode. He was in The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie and some other Bunuel films. He pops up in Claude Chabrol films. He's just great. He makes that episode just so funny. And as he's so disconcerted as to what the heck is going on. This is a film about dreams. It's a film about the randomness of life. People don't like to confront, Bunuel thought, the randomness of life and how much chance controls our liberty. Is liberty itself an illusion? So in the supplements, there is a short interview with Jean-Claude Carrière. It's very good, talking about the making of the film, and there's other supplements with him and Michel Piccoli, talking about what it was like to work with Bunuel. And Peter Evans gives an analysis. I've never seen him before, but he just gives an absolutely brilliant analysis of the Phantom of Liberty. So there's one more movie to go, The Obscure Object of Desire, which I say is available which is an adaptation of a novel. But my next two will be Bunuel videos. The next one will be on Nazarene, which is by Benito Galdós, who I talked about in my last episode on Viridiana. Nazarene is based on a novel by Galdós, and I was able to download a copy of it, so I just started reading it. So be able to talk a little bit about how Bunuel adopts one of his most acclaimed films. And then after that will come Robinson Crusoe. Yes, Louis Bunuel once made a film based on Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, starring Dan O'Herlihy, which is available on the Criterion channel, by the way. And Nazarene is available on YouTube, I believe, without ads and with readable. I haven't watched the whole film yet. I want to finish the novel first, but it is available on YouTube. So that'll wrap up this episode of my Louis Bunuel series. So thanks a lot for everybody who listened. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.